Hello, and welcome to Hey, Hi, Who Are You? The podcast where we talk to regular humans that do cool things. I'm your host, Merike Hess, and today's regular human that we'll be talking to is actually going to be my dad, Kris Hess. So he's an engineer, and he has lots of creative hobbies on the side. He's generally just a really funny guy and has lots of cool stories to tell. So I'm really excited for you guys to get to know him today. So welcome my dad, Kris Hess, to the show. Okay, well, welcome to Hey, Hi, Who Are You? And are you my father?
Well, there's some question about that.
There's some debate. I feel like there's no debate. Okay, well, I mean, I guess I kind of already...
How come you get a coffee and I don't?
Should we share one? I'm such a bad host. You made me this coffee. Well, how would you introduce yourself?
I'm an engineer.
That's all? That's your one descriptor?
Okay, I'm short.
I'm a short engineer. Oh my god. Fine. I mean, I guess you basically have been an engineer like your whole life. Like you haven't really had any other jobs, really. What other jobs have you had?
I picked tobacco as a kid.
Oh yeah.
I worked at my father's clinic.
Wait, as a kid meaning not a child, right?
No, as a teenager. Well, I laid sod and did landscaping for a few years as a teenager.
And you were a valet.
And I was a parking valet, yeah.
How long did you do that for?
I was a professional parker. That could go somewhere.
You knew how to back that up or something? But your valet stories were actually kind of weird. Like you said there was like not mob ties, but like what was it? Like union strong arming or something.
Yeah, the doorman was the head of the union.
The doorman. So the doorman is like
and I reported to the doorman.
That sounds so funny, like a movie, like the doorman has the power.
Yeah. And he did. Like
That's weird.
Because he was the head of the union. So when I, at one point, this was in Toronto, and the union...
Wait, at what hotel?
At the Prince Hotel. They wanted to have a vote strike, a strike to vote.
Yeah.
And the doorman said, even though I was a student, he said, you must go. Anybody who reports to me must go. So I did go, and I thought it was kind of interesting altogether.
And you were like 21 or something?
This was like, yeah, probably young 20s anyway. And anyways, I went to this thing, and it was on the stage was the union, all the union stewards of the different hotels, and on the end of the stage were two big guys all dressed in black with their arms
clearly
crossed,
meant to make it
meant to intimidate. So they stood there in the corners, on each end of the stage. And they did rah rah rah. We got to strike. You know, we're not being treated correctly, and all those sorts of things. And maybe that was the case, but and I remember one woman close to me stood up and said something like, "I can't afford to strike. I don't want to strike." And then the two guys dressed in black came to the front of the stage and started to go, boo, boo. Actually. And
that's like a movie.
And getting the audience to boo her. So a few people
to boo her for not having enough money to not work.
So that, to drown her out, so that people couldn't hear her argument of why not to
strike.
God. People just booed her, and then she kind of just turned around and kind of shrugged her shoulders. So it was time to vote. And so then you lined up each hotel, people that belonged to the union lined up behind their hotel table for a vote.
So how was it, like all the Toronto hotels?
Yeah. So behind my table was my union steward, and then some,
like the doorman. Yeah.
And when you signed to strike, it was right there. Like he saw exactly. It was not a closed ballot.
Yeah.
You signed in front of him, and then there was also, they had another kind of he wasn't like muscular, but another person, just a part of the union, and watching you how you vote. I voted to strike even though I had zero desire to strike.
That sucks.
Just because he was my boss. And
well, so, what? You don't want to get fired, even though the union's supposed to be the opposite of that you don't get fired for stuff. But it sounds like it would have been the opposite if you voted opposite. Ugh.
Yeah, no, it's just weird. It was just that was my one union that I've belonged to in my life. And even though I think unions have a place, but that one sounded corrupt though, because there's a way, there's a place for them. But if you're strong arming people, that's not cool. Ew. No. Anyways, there's my one.
But I feel like your valet parking, like you can literally park into like the tiniest little spots now. It's fun. You still
Well, you had to do it fast.
Yeah.
Like it was. You had to, and you ran the whole time because.
Did you ever bump anyone's car?
Nope.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
I was.
Did they give you tips?
Yeah, pretty good tips, but you had to split them with the doorman.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the rule.
Fine. I guess it's kind of like bartending.
Bringing back old memories, but that guy, he had a real temper, and he if somebody parked in his area that was where he expected to get tips on the front entranceway where it was kind of prime parking and people that would be willing to pay bigger tips,
right?
The doorman would park the car in the kind of just in front of the hotel itself.
Okay.
And somebody somehow got parked in that area.
Yeah.
And he got so pissed off, he took another person's car, like one of the cars that he had parked. It was I remember it was a pickup truck or something like that. But a nice one, probably a Suburban or something like that. I can't quite remember. But he took that other person's car and pushed the other car sideways, like damaged the car, the other person's car. I know it was just the guy took somebody else.
You saw that happen?
I saw it happen.
You saw him hit another person's.
He didn't hit it. He pushed it sideways out of the place to get another car because that was his area that he.
But he could get fined or should have. He didn't get fined?
I don't know what happened. I don't think anything did happen. It was just. Somebody just claimed that.
Oh my god! What a psycho!
And I didn't say nothing.
I was actually thinking about this the other day when I was in band. Like, did you ever work on a ski hill or not? Because I know you just like went on in Jasper. You just went all the time. You didn't work on the ski hill.
No.
But did you get your level 1 instructors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here, just in Kitchener.
Right. Okay.
It was a good course. Actually, it's a course that even if you pass or fail, it's just a really good, intense ski instructor's course.
Well, I guess because they're kind of teaching you how to be a better skier too, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
That's what and I'd recommend it to anybody to take a level 2 course, even if you plan the instructor not.
Like, once you're able to explain it to someone else, that likely means that you understand it really well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, at least and then when you're skiing yourself, you're saying, that's why I'm not doing this, because I understand that I'm
doing this one thing wrong or whatever. Yeah.
40 years ago now.
Well, might be.
Yeah, 40 years ago.
40 years ago.
Yeah. But I tell you, it really has helped my skiing altogether.
Well, I guess from that, you lived in Jasper.
I was just outside Jasper and worked at a paper mill.
Why? As an engineer or just as like
no, as a co-op worker.
But so you were helping them with their operations or their machinery or like what? Ah, okay.
I don't quite remember because I skied a lot.
So you did your ski instructors, but you don't really remember it because you were busy with your girlfriend, and you don't remember your co-op because you were skiing. So it all just like shifted.
If it was snowing and the work wasn't, was able to, they totally understood, and they let me leave even in the middle of the afternoon. Or
really? Oh, that's awesome.
It was a
total ski town.
And anyways, I worked pretty hard there too, so they liked me. So I met up with a few guys that were working there too that were just really good skiers and just fun to be with.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Did you ever keep in contact with them, or they just kind of
No, yeah,
just random people you kind of met in the town and then move on?
Yeah.
I guess at the time too, it was harder to keep in contact with people. Like nowadays, you could have added them on Facebook or something, but now, like,
it makes me think even of like just because I remember the one guy, he was a salesman and he had a phone. It was like a mobile phone. It wasn't a cell phone. There was no such thing as cell back then. It was done by radio, and you had to be within reach of a tower.
So it was like
in a little
a walkie-talkie.
It was in a bag. Like this thing was in a bag, and through the Rockies, you never got any reception. But it was the coolest thing. But yeah, so it's trying to keep in contact with people.
Would have been really hard.
There was no.
True,
So
you'd have to landline or write a letter.
Right, and landline was expensive to make phone calls.
Right, so you literally couldn't keep in contact with people.
Well, you'd have to write them a letter.
Yeah, but you'd have to know exactly where they are.
Yeah.
And how do you even get their address if you didn't ask for it? Exactly. Or what if they changed their address? You literally lose people. How did anyone find anyone ever before even landlines were affordable? How do you navigate? You just pretend.
That's the way it was. It was, you didn't even know any better kind of thing. That's the way it was. So you kept in touch.
Well, and I guess you would have like your address books and you would try to keep it updated and make sure. Wow. Yep. Holy crap. That's wild. It does. Now that I'm talking about it, yeah. I guess we kind of hopped forward in time, but
or backwards, way backwards.
Well, backwards, but forward in time from what I wanted to talk about, because so you grew up on a farm with 4 siblings, and you are the 4th kid out of.
We weren't on a
farm life sort of idea. Well, you were in the countryside, surrounded by farms.
Surrounded by farms, and I basically lived on farms in the sense of my father being a country veterinarian.
Yeah.
We'd be in the car going on calls, which was going from farm to farm, doing his veterinary practice. My job was to keep him company and carry the pail and with the brush in it.
What's the pail for?
The pail was to keep diseases from going from farm to farm.
Yeah.
The vet would have high rubber boots on, and before he left the farm,
he had to wash his boots.
He had to wash his boots with a brush and a pail and disinfectant.
Okay.
And that would, because you didn't want to trek
feces or whatever with
from one
farm
to another. So he'd wash his boots with disinfectant, and that was part of my job as a kid. And then my father would reward us. Like he'd say, come on with me, come on, like keep me company, and we'll go to Roseville store. I'll buy you fries. That was our kind of reward, is we'd go to Roseville store, and he loved going to Roseville store too at the time because it had a
cigars or something.
Well, he'd buy cigars. He'd buy a little barrel of old port cigars, and he'd smoke them in the car. So as a kid, I think I probably got as much
smoke inhalation as he did.
Yeah, because we'd be in a little Volkswagen and he'd be smoking cigars. But there was a pinball table at Roseville store.
He went and played pinball?
My father loved to play pinball at Roseville store.
I wish I could have met him more. That sounds so fun. So like sometimes the calls would be like at like 3 a.m. or something, right?
Oh yeah, no, and that's why sometimes my father would wake you up or wake me or one of my brothers up. And just say, come on with me, come on.
You're like, it's like a school night, and you're like,
And you usually would, just because it was actually
kind of exciting.
Well, it wasn't. But you'd know that you could sleep in the car, so you'd just fall asleep in the car, and then you'd kind of help him as you got there, and he was so thankful for it, just because you can imagine going out in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of probably your like little bonding time with him, I don't know. Like as a kid, having a alone time, especially with so many siblings, I feel like as a kid, having alone time with a parent is always fun. You feel special.
I guess.
Wait, can you tell your roadkill story? That is the best.
Roadkill story.
Hasenpfeffer.
Oh, Hasenpfeffer. Oh yeah, no, we would just like my when you can picture like a little kid and his father, like the vet. Anyways, and I'd be sleeping a lot of time in this, just because it was night.
Yeah. And
I can remember being woken up lots of times where it was suddenly my father would accelerate and if rabbits would run out in front of the car, and then they run where they can see, which is where the headlights are. So my father would just accelerate and run over the rabbit. Sounds goofy as a veterinarian to over a rabbit. And he was even eventually the head of the Humane Society.
Oh my God.
But he would run over the rabbit, and then he'd kind of wake me up and say, "Go get the rabbit." He'd elbow me, "Go get the rabbit." And then I'd kind of, in my days kind of waking up, I'd then go out and get the rabbit. And a lot of times it would be still wriggling, you know, because it wasn't quite dead. And then my father, I couldn't do it, but my father would put it out of its misery.
And then what would you do with them?
We would go home, and my father would skin it and soak it overnight in, I think it was salty water, I think is what I remember, and make Hasenpfeffer.
Rabbit soup.
Which
stew?
Is stew.
Stew.
Rabbit stew. German rabbit stew.
I mean, free meal. It's like hunting in a very unfair way.
Yeah, you didn't waste much back then, I can tell you.
Well, no, I mean, that's good. Yeah.
I remember my grandmother, my one-eye on my mother's side. Boy, there was no waste there. Like she everything was like she wouldn't even eat with us.
Why? Oh, she would just eat your scraps?
She would eat the scraps because she knew that there would be leftovers. So she would kind of say, "Oh no, my dogs are. Yeah, I don't want to eat. You know, I'm fine." But then when she'd clean the table off, she would eat all her leftover stuff off the plates. Like it was just the way they were. Yeah. You know, like after the war, it was just so hard that she just.
Well, and I guess it's like sort of ingrained in her too, probably that like the kids eat first, kind of, because like you.
Oh yeah.
Like you know, like you would want your kids to be okay, so you eat, like you let them eat, and then whatever they don't eat, you kind of like nibble on and have it. Wow. Yeah. That's weird.
She was the nicest woman you could ever imagine. I can remember one time. I know we're getting on goofy stories, but
no, that's what I want.
But I can remember one time where we were kicking. I can't remember if it was a soccer ball or football. I think it was a football. Kicking a football over the house, and my one-eye came out, and she kicked it over the house too. So my father came out and tried to kick it over the house, and kicked it through the living room window.
Oh no! The dad's the one that ruins it. Yeah. Oh my God!
She was a short little, but boy, could she ever? She was just so able and so just.
Well, she's kind of like that able. Classic like strong Esto lady. You know what I mean? Like that's how I picture her anyway. I mean, from the pictures I've seen, but yeah.
And at any party, like if there was a party of some sort, like with good food and flowers, like if it was a leir or whatever, and there were flowers and stuff, she would be, by the time we got up in the morning, she would be already painting. She'd have made a still life of the fruits and meat and whatever and put them on the table. And so some of these pictures that you see of her paintings,
just in the morning of a party?
Yeah, she would put them together in a still life and then paint. And so you'd wake up and she'd be painting a still life of the things.
What a beautiful life. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I mean, they're pretty nice.
They're really nice paintings. Yeah. You have like a million other funny childhood stories, like the time where you taped your mom to the fridge.
Yeah, we tied her to the fridge with her hands. I can remember with her hands behind her back onto the handle of the fridge because she was trying to desperately get ready for this. She had a friend. They were kind of fancy people.
Yeah.
And so Perrette especially was this
very prim and proper French lady.
Yeah. And so I guess she was coming to visit, and it must have been last minute or something like that. So my mother all of a sudden just got panicky and had to clean out the house and got us to try and help her clean up real quick before Perrette arrives.
And the four boys didn't want to.
Well, we just played a joke on it, or not. I mean, I guess it doesn't sound like much of a joke. But tied her to the fridge,
and so said no.
She couldn't even.
Was she like yelling? Like she must have been.
Sure she was. Like, I mean, she knew it was done in good.
Yeah.
Spirit, or like just.
Yeah. Well, you guys obviously weren't hurting her or anything. It was just funny. But
she was tied to the fridge.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
That's why my mother is the way she is.
You just terrorized her.
we in the backyard, it used to be it was a dog run originally, and then when my father moved to Kitchener and took over his father's practice, veterinary practice.
Oh, his dad was a vet too?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
think I
my
knew
Opa
that.
was a vet too.
Oh, cool.
And had his practice forever in Kitchener. From large animal, because when you get a little bit older as a vet,
well, large animals hard. Yeah, well, you gotta like wrangle them, and like I don't know, what if they kick you or something? Then you're frail and you're on the ground. Like I don't know.
My Opa was about, I think I'm probably similar size to him. He's a fairly small guy.
Yeah.
So I think he probably had a hard time staying in the large animal practice. Anyway, when my father was doing his large animal side of it, we'd board dogs and stuff like that, and he still had did some small animal stuff too out of the house.
Yeah.
But then when he moved to Kitchener, that all sort of stopped. So we converted the dog runs into a sauna.
Yeah.
Me and my brothers, and well, my father too, I'm sure. But anyway, so we had a sauna in the backyard, and eventually too, we got a pool, but it was an above ground pool that we
like a blow up kind of thing.
No, it had hard sides. It was kind of a round.
Like a weird. Oh, look, a tank.
Like a tank.
I've seen those. They're really cool.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're kind of stylish
cool.
now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
I mean,
like there's a company called like Stock Tank Pools or something, and they're really cool. You can paint them, and they're really pretty.
Yeah, no, it was that's what it was, an above ground round
very
pool,
like
basically.
retro looking.
Yep. So we had that in our backyard. Anyway, so after football practice or volleyball practice, especially on a Friday, say, but it might have been the middle of the week too. Occasionally, we'd
have people over.
We'd have people over, and you'd have a sauna, and maybe drink a bit of beer in the sauna and that sort of stuff. Well, which I'm not sure. There's a couple of stories. So I'm thinking of the
lights one, the lights turned off one.
Okay,
that's what I'm thinking. But you can tell all of them. Go ahead, free reign.
Well, the one that I thought the one I thought you were maybe talking about is one where after it was just me and 4 or 5 guys in the sauna after football or volleyball, and there was a girl in our class, Ann Lehman was her name, who lived just down the road from us, and just came up that, hey, I dare you to go run down and touch
Ann Lehman's house.
Ann Lehman's house. I think it was ring the doorbell, or was it just touch? Anyways, either way.
Poor Ann Lehman.
So we did it.
Oh, God.
We went and did it, but there was no big deal because she was pretty close, and it was like,
wait, naked?
Well,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you just.
Not just
you're hot and that, so we just ran down
down
the road and
you're what, like 16 or something?
Probably. And then so I remember then we said, well, let's go touch, I guess it was Lois Coleman, or let's go down to, which was a little bit further. So we're running, it was 4 of us, and we're running down the road naked, and the headlight is coming at us, and it's a police car. So we dive in the ditch, and I just ran across the field. Like I didn't want to have anything to do with it.
You're like, bye.
But Randy and whoever else it was, he ended up just thinking the best thing to do is lay still and don't move at all. But they happened to be, according to their story, when we got back to the zone, was they ended up kind of landing on each other, kind of next to each other, and then the car stops, and the policeman does get out and shone his flashlight around, but it misjudged a little bit of where they dove in. So he said, like, it wasn't very far away,
and it would have looked very strange.
Exactly. They said, like, 2 naked guys in the ditch laying on top of each other virtually.
Like, if that's what you're gonna do, choose somewhere not the ditch. You look really homeless and weird right now.
So we got back to after, it was a big laugh for them because they just like,
oh my God,
you like, she would have judged
the stories the cop would have told around town.
One that I think you're thinking of is we had a party, and it was my parents would go up to Mignetawan for the cottage, and we'd have parties at home. And this was a party where we were in the zone, just guys in the zone, and the main power switch to our house was outside. Believe it or not, back then, I guess
outside, so anyone can just play with it.
Yeah,
kind of
actually,
weird.
in reality, but it's a small town. God, we never even locked our doors, I can tell you. I can remember waking up on a Saturday morning once. A guy named Howling. Mike Howling was nudging me on my shoulder in my bedroom. He's the son of the local mechanic because my father had left the car at the mechanics, and he
just came right in and woke you up.
And he says, "Hey, I brought your car back." That's how it's a small town.
Oh my
he
God.
actually came into my bedroom and nudged me awake to say, "Here's the keys to your car that brought your car back." Anyways, so we're talking about this party.
Yeah.
And we
the
were
power
in the
switch.
sound, and so I kind of think it was Brent again.
Freaking Brent.
They found the power switch, and they thought they flipped it off, and no power went off. So they come back into the sound and say, "I guess it's a power outage. Let's let's go into." We had a rec room in our basement, and they said, "Let's go into the basement naked. Nobody will know we're actually naked." And the girls won't know it. This will be just a hoot, because there were girls at this party.
You're so obsessed with nakedness.
It was just, and I thought that'll be hilarious. That's gonna be funny. So we did. I remember even, since I knew where all the furniture was, and that, like, in the rec room there were no windows,
so it's just pitch black.
Pitch black. And we said, "Oh, must be power outage, yada yada yada." And so I already sat down in a chair and I'm talking to people, and next thing you know, the lights turn on. Well, those bastards. It was just a ploy to do a practical joke on me. I'm the only one sitting there. I'm the only one naked.
I actually can't imagine.
It was perfect. It was really good. Anyway, so I kind of remember saying, "Excuse me," and I quick got up and I went to run out. Well, a guy named Tim Facey. My friend was Dave Facey, and his older brother was coming to pick up his
brother, and he's like, "What the hell kind of party is this?"
Exactly. He did say exactly, "What the hell?" And I just ran right past him.
You're like, "I don't know, don't ask." Oh my God.
But that party did actually get a little bit wild after that, because Randy Kerber, I remember, he ended up actually just saying, "What the hell? Now that we're naked." I can remember picturing him. He was playing the piano.
Naked.
With a girl sitting on either side of him.
Oh my God. But what are these different times?
It was all
in good fun. Because if you're not being weird about it, then it's not weird.
And
it's funny.
What it was. It was just hilarious.
If everyone's on the same page with it, then it's funny. Yeah. So I guess that was the main thing. Well, it's all in good fun.
Yeah. And it was actually one of these things where it was totally and then we even kind of got, it was like, the Hess parties are just fun. One of my friends who was because we had a lot of Mennonites in our area.
Yeah, there still are.
One of the Mennonite friends of mine, I remember he just said, "I gotta take my clothes off."
Felt left out.
I remember it was in front of our living room window that he just, on our front lawn, just took his clothes off.
Freedom.
There was a group, there was a couple cars leaving at the time, and then he ended up jumping on the back of the car. "Oh, don't go yet!" And naked guys jumping on and the guy
parents?
who, I can't remember what his name is, but he was a year or two older than us. But anyways, he drove the car off, and he had these girls in the back seat of his car, and then we were, I think it was Randy, me, and Brent, if I remember right. We were holding on to this car on the outside of the car, and he sped off, thinking this is just hilarious. Well, Brent decides, this is too much for him. I can remember seeing him. He jumped off the car, and I can remember seeing him roll on the street because the car was going pretty fast. And he just gets up, and then there's naked Brent running back to the house. And he was actually a really athletic guy, Brent was, and so he sprinted back home. But me and Randy held on because, like, this was after seeing Brent roll, even, like, you were naked, like, "I don't want to let go." So we held on for our life. Well, so he, can't remember his name, I can even picture him, but anyways, ends up pulling into downtown New Dundee, which isn't much of a downtown. It's
like
just
a couple
shops,
and
a hotel. And parks there, and they lock the doors, and then they all laugh. Ha ha! Now the joke's on you, and then me and Randy just kind of, come on, let us. It's home, it's one of these things where now
it's over. We're done. Well, so from fast forwarding a little bit, so you went to school for engineering. Where and how did you choose it? And how did you know that's what you wanted to do, or did you have other things you might thought you wanted to do?
When I first in high school, I actually thought I wanted to be in medicine.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my interest and whatnot. And after I did biophysics in for 2 years at Toronto.
At U of T?
At U of T.
Oh.
Yeah, so my first 2 years of university were biophysics.
That sounds really hard.
It wasn't. It wasn't actually. It's it's physics and biology. Which.
Yeah, I guess
I don't know. Yeah. Wasn't
actually those two sciences I like so much more than chemistry. So yeah, actually true.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my first 2 years was doing that, and it was okay. But my brother Alan was in medicine at the time.
Yeah.
And I actually just seeing how thoroughly dedicated he had to be, and also just I didn't have the passion to really want to do it, and I had been building cars and things, and I was just so much more mechanical and that, and I just became more and more interested in mechanical stuff and building cars and building engines and stuff like that.
True, well, because you had your dune buggy that you built from nothing, right? I didn't.
My brother Eric.
Oh, he had the dune buggy.
I helped him a little bit.
True.
But it was he that built the dune
But you
buggy.
were just kind of fixing up cars and whatever that you had?
Yeah, my father gave me a Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh, okay.
And
you souped it up, right?
And I souped it up, and I just really liked doing that sort of stuff. And anyways, I realized, I think really that's what I should do.
You're like, who cares about humans? I can't imagine you being a doctor. I just don't know any goofy doctors. You're goofy. I can't picture it.
Do you know any goofy engineers?
Yes, you. And your brother, actually.
Yeah, he's a goof.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's.
But so then you switched,
2 years,
right?
I applied for Waterloo and got into Waterloo, and ended up finishing the degree at Ryerson.
Right. And so you did mechanical engineering, right? Yeah. Does it work do you have to choose right away what kind of engineering?
First year is all of them.
Right.
Is just general.
Yeah.
And then in second year,
you already have to specialize or whatever. Right. True. And so mechanical engineering compared to the other ones, what's the difference? I kind of know, but maybe just to explain to
it depends
other people.
What school you go to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But there's civil engineering is bridges and roads and that sort of stuff, or am I wrong?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then mechanical engineering's engines and machinery and okay.
And just electrical is obviously anything electrical, including motors and things like that, which includes some mechanical stuff. So
did you learn any electrical engineering and mechanical engineering? For sure. True, because you'd have to cross over a little bit because you have to work with those people all the time, I'm sure.
Every one of them crosses over to something.
Yeah, true. Well, so then from there was your first job?
I worked for TRW to start with. That was my last year of school. I worked for the last year and a bit, maybe a summer and then a year, because they wanted me to stay on and do whatever work I could, even during my school year.
And what were you doing there?
TRW is an automotive company, but they had a division that they started up called the Appliance Product Group.
Okay.
And so I designed stuff around appliance controls, mostly refrigerators. Actually, is what we were doing. It was actually a really good first job, because I was the group I was with, and those people I still know that. It was John Polkinghorn.
Oh, wow. So yeah, you actually made like real connections at this first job.
Totally. I'm still connected with that guy.
Yeah.
So it was good experience from an electronics point of view too, like, because that's, controls. So I ended up kind of combining that experience with my other jobs in a big way throughout my career. So it was a great experience. And they were just good people. I was able to kind of do things that were inventive there. Like, for instance, the one idea that I came up with there was refrigerators do a thing called defrosting. And they used to do it once every 24 hours.
Well, because otherwise it would get all like those clumps, right?
Right.
Like those big chest freezers often have the clumps. You know?
So the evaporator is cold and freezes up. The moisture in the air freezes and builds up frost on it. So to keep that, and then the evaporator loses efficiency because the frost is an insulator, and then it stops being a freezer because it just can't suck in enough heat into the evaporator coil.
Right.
Because it's being insulated with ice. So anyways, the idea there was just, and I was able to do stuff like this, which was great for a young guy to be able to kind of
well, that you weren't just like someone's assistant D kind of person. You actually had ideas that they use and stuff, which is cool for a first job. That's awesome.
So this thing was it's just inefficient to throw heat into a refrigerator to melt stuff.
Sounds counterproductive.
No whether it needs it or not.
Yeah.
So I came up with an idea that, well, if it's losing efficiency, if there's frost on it, the heat transfer is not happening quite as well. It's losing its ability to transfer heat.
Yeah.
Well, and what that basically translates into is the temperature difference across a fin is going to be different when there's frost on it. Well, let's just put a sensor on one end of the fin
to see if there's frost on it or not.
And if it's a big temperature difference, it must be insulated. If it's a small temperature difference, it's not. And
so now you know when to defrost and when not to.
Exactly.
So you might defrost once every couple of days rather than once a day pointlessly.
Exactly. Only when there's enough frost.
So you did it by sensor, not by timer anymore. Is that kind of the idea?
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was patentable, and so
was your name already on a patent that early?
That one, actually, it was patentable. That division closed down just at around that time.
Oh.
And that's
so you didn't get a patent quite yet at that time.
Right. It was kind of, and that just, I think that was just a good experience altogether, because it really kind of let you sort of gave you wings a little experiment with it and all that sort of stuff, and be able to kind of prove out, and it was a bit of a success. So it just kind of gives you some confidence and some ability to kind of do that sort of stuff.
Well, it sounds like you kind of learned about like the creative like design process, like actually finding, like, you found where the inefficiencies were, and you were like, here's how you kind of already figured out how to solve those and find those, which is like a huge thing.
Yeah, and that is really a lot of inventions or patents
aren't often something brand new. They're usually just to fix an inefficiency or a problem or something.
Right. So patents are either utility or design.
Yeah.
So utility patents are something useful. That's basically what they call it, utility patent. Well, useful. What does useful mean? Useful means you're basically solving a problem.
Yeah.
Or doing something better. Or it's useful.
Because aren't design patents like what they look like, kind of like the form they're in? Exactly. Like if it has like, I don't know, like the shape of this perhaps could be design patented.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Moving forward. So from TRW, you changed jobs because you and Emma were moving, or why? Or because you didn't like that job anymore?
Black & Decker seemed to be a good opportunity.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a recognizable name, and that's a big company to be part of.
So I went to Black & Decker right after that. And also the appliance product group was closing down.
Oh, right.
So I think that was part of the driver too.
So then at Black & Decker, you did like lawn mowers, and what else was there?
It was mostly lawnmowers.
And there you have some patents with your name on them, don't you?
Yeah, actually I did. I got, I think, 6 patents.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, again, a really good experience. Just a good group of people. Just, a good company.
So with that one, you were on like a design team of like whatever, a bunch, or research and development team or something of like a bunch of people, or like how does that work?
Well, it was just by virtue of working, you start to see things that are, again, it's
seeing issues with their products and trying to fix them.
Or you got a problem that you're trying to solve. So there I made a plastic lawnmower, basically a plastic lawnmower deck, which was one of the first plastic lawnmowers.
Like to make it lighter? Is that all it was?
It was
and cheaper, I guess, too.
Cheaper. You can mold it, so it's cheaper. It doesn't rust. It doesn't dent as easily. It was just a good experience. I mean, that's the thing is if you've got good managers that kind of let people go if they're willing to go, and explore.
Well, like facilitate them to do their own stuff, but yeah.
I had a guy there. There were 2 bosses I had there. A guy named Ron Hare, who was a really good, bright guy. But the guy directly below him, a guy named Colin Dyke, was just especially right, Colin. He was just he wasn't an engineer himself, but you could tell he was just a bright guy, and he would recognize good ideas. That's something that's really important altogether for success, I think, in engineering and other creative practices, is just knowing that your own ideas aren't often the best ideas, and that recognizing that and be willing to give up your own ideas or modify your own ideas to what someone else is suggesting or working on, because there's a lot of, I think it's a natural thing for you to believe that, geez, I just want to be right, and my
it's an
ideas
ego
are the best.
thing,
It's an ego thing, and it's really prevalent in a lot of engineers, I can tell you.
Well, so they want to be the smartest in the room or get the credit. I think getting credit is a big one. But that's with artists too. I feel like you want to struggle. You want to be that person who struggles alone and was right by themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. But really, the best artists, I would think, at least best engineers, are ones that can get credit,
see a good idea and get credit for part of it,
for recognizing it and managing it to success.
Well, it's like great producers, like music producers are the great ones, are like, wow, I saw that random busker on the street, like Justin Bieber or whatever, and was like, oh, I can recognize he's going to be a star. And maybe that producer isn't the star, but he recognized the star and cultivated the star, which is the product in your case, or whatever.
Yeah, and that is, I can tell you, it's something really for most people to overcome, and those are the best engineers that have worked for me, are ones that are really willing to
like compromise / collaborate.
Just think about what is the best thing overall, and take yourself totally out of it. Take your own feelings, your own tendencies out of it, and just realize, wait a minute, this is a good idea, and let's run with that.
Yeah.
Especially in management, because you think that in management that, I got to be the guy with the ideas, I got to be the idea guy. Yeah, often it's more just managing other people's good ideas.
Well, because that's why you have people underneath you. You don't have to, it's because you're the manager doesn't mean you need to know everything. You need to be the one who can like bring together the people who do know things or can figure things out. Like, you don't have to be God.
No, it's not all coming from you. You don't know. And that is something that really, I even find, well, I mean, even though I feel really strongly about it, even at my age, I'm a little bit old, I find myself even still doing that. And I have to tell myself, hang on a sec, you're doing that.
Yeah.
That. And it's just a natural tendency, and you gotta actually even fight it. Although I think I'm pretty good at it now.
Yeah, well, because you've been managing for so many years now. Because like right after Black & Decker, you went straight to Dimplex, right?
No. Right after Black & Decker, I went to a place called Glengarry, a company that made elements. electric heating elements.
Yeah.
And they were looking for an engineering manager. I didn't want to leave Black & Decker, to be honest. Black & Decker was really good. I liked it a lot.
You would have happily climbed the ranks there.
The president there, even like I remember the last week I was there, he took me out for lunch and he just said, like, don't go.
Aww.
Like
he had a tear in his eye.
Well, he didn't. He had a gun in his hand.
Oh my God.
It was like I liked them, they liked me. Yeah, maybe I was a little bit too dedicated almost to Black & Decker. You know, our 5th wedding anniversary story. Have I told you that story?
No. Tell it. What happened?
Ooh.
Oh no.
I shouldn't tell this story.
Tell it.
Anyways, 5th wedding anniversary.
And you have a 2-year-old daughter, 3-year-old daughter?
Something like that. Anyways,
oh God.
I'm at work and I get a phone call from the receptionist at the front desk saying, "Oh, there's a surprise for you up here." So I go up to the reception area, and there's Emma and Levy in a long dress, and she's got a bouquet of roses.
So your wife brought you roses for the 5th anniversary? Or she bought them for herself?
Well, I'd like to think that now, but I had totally forgotten our 5th wedding anniversary. And so I thought, I was so into work, I guess, too much into work, that the lawnmower that I had designed, the plastic lawnmower deck, was just going down the line. Like I was it was just happening, you know, the whole, and so it had been going down the line that day for the first time. And that's why I was just not thinking and just totally thinking work, I guess. And I walked up to her and I said, "Oh, I didn't even know. That's so nice. I didn't
you thought it was about the freaking lawnmower? Oh my God!"
Yeah.
Oh.
And then her lower lip kind of quivered a little bit, and I thought, "Oh, that's not it."
Oh my God! Your brain is so empty.
Me. So it could have only taken those few moments back. I heard about it for years after. I lived that pain over and over again for years after.
I'm sorry to say, but that's fair. I was sad when I didn't get anything for like our 3rd Valentine's Day, let alone 5th wedding anniversary.
God.
Thank you for these flowers.
I didn't realize that you knew the lawnmower was going down the line today. I think I said something like that.
And she was like, "Are you kidding?"
Well, she didn't say nothing. I could tell. That wasn't it.
You're like, "I said something wrong." Yeah. So then from that you moved to you went to Glengarry because
well, anyway.
The manager position. Is that when you guys moved here? Brockville here, right?
Yeah, it was here. We moved here. We lived in my parents' house for like 6 months or something. Went for a house, then bought this house. So the first engineering manager's job that I actually got was at Glengarry. That was hell. That place. It was probably a good thing to go to a place that was hell, because
you learn how to work through frustrating situations and stuff. Yeah.
And you just realize that, understand a good place and a bad place.
Yeah.
So Glengarry was hell. The owner it was a family-owned business, not a very big business. I'm guessing it might have been about a $10 million business, I guess, something in that range.
Sounds big enough to me, but I don't really know.
Yeah, it's not a really big business, but yeah, not a small business. Like the first day I got there was he calls me. I go straight to his office, and we have our interview, kind of to introduce me to the place. And he told me about all the people that work for me. And by the way, the one and only engineer, Olaf, is an alcoholic, and he didn't show up to work for the last 2 weeks before Christmas. And you can't
fire someone who has a mental illness, right?
Well, I wasn't. He did ask me. He said, "And you're gonna have to fire him today."
Day one.
That was day one. So I say, "Ooh," and I thought,
I don't think that's your place. How's this new person supposed to come in and fire someone?
So I convinced Len. I said, I'm pretty logical, and I don't think about other aspects. Like it was to me, it was the logical thing is fine. I mean, sounds like he's trouble, and there's maybe he does need to be let go.
Yeah.
But for the good of the company, I need to glean whatever I can off of him
because he's the only one that knows.
A few weeks, I need to,
well, you need to get out of his brain a little bit, because otherwise all of the information that he has is gone.
And I don't know exactly. I mean, maybe I needed to first assess the whole thing. I couldn't make a decision. So I said, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's right. I need to, I need to get whatever I can and see myself. Maybe I can do something about it, yada, yada. And then Lynn looks at his watch. I can still remember this clearly because it looks. You're meeting your group right now in the boardroom right next door here. So let's go. So he sits me down at the head of the table, kind of thing, and then Lynn stands up.
Oh God!
And starts to just yell at my whole group.
Oh!
Saying, "You guys are a bunch of whatever." Didn't say louts, but basically that's what
losers.
You're saying. A bunch of, and this guy here is going to clean this place up.
And you're like, "No, I'm not. I don't want to." You're like, "Can I quit today?"
First engineering management position.
God!
And this guy's.
Did you like crap your pants? I would have. I'd be like, "What am I doing here?"
I remember how I reacted, but
my eyes would have gone this
what
big.
What am I going to do? How's the right way to handle this? Leave that room together, and on the way out of the boardroom, I say, Olaf, we need to talk. So I, follow me to my office.
This is day freaking one.
Day one.
Oh my God.
First morning. So I closed the door behind Olaf in my office, and Olaf sits there. I get behind my desk for the first time, basically. I've been just in the office for maybe
you have like one piece of paper on the desk.
And I say, Olaf, you're an alcoholic. That's my first meeting.
That was what you said?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because I'm going to confront it right on. Like, that's what I figured. I had to try and... So I said, Olaf, it sounds like you're an alcoholic. You have a drinking problem. And, oh, no, I don't. I said, Olaf, I hear differently, and I think, this is my first management position. Can you imagine my first morning? And I said, Olaf, we gotta address this. So you gotta go to AA. And within about an hour or so of discussing it, him denying it, and we got on the phone together and we phoned AA.
Did he go?
He did.
Did it work?
It was pretty good, actually. It wasn't. He still had a problem, and he wasn't over it. About a month later, he actually quit on me.
Well, fair enough. I mean, if he wasn't ready to do it himself, it's not going to happen,
Yeah, but I did see him, years later, not that many years later. I went to get a coffee. I was in this meeting at, next thing you know,
Olaf walks
in. I'm at the coffee machine at this, getting a coffee, and Olaf walks in. He says, you know who I am? And I didn't recognize him right away at first. And I said, I don't know. He says, I'm Olaf. And then it came back to me, and he said, just so you know, I'm clean now.
Oh, wow.
And he thanked me.
Really?
Yeah, it actually gives me a little bit of willies.
Yeah,
it was actually such a nice moment.
Well, I mean, because you weren't yelling at him. Like, you clearly wanted, like, you weren't like, I'm going to fire you. You were like, I want you to get help because clearly you have an issue.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe no one else at that company, maybe no one else in his life even said that.
I don't know, but he just said, just so you know, and I'm better, and he thanked me.
Wow.
And he just said, thank you.
Oh my God.
It's actually like, it was just kind of one of these things. I remember getting back into the meeting thinking, boy, that was, actually it is giving me the willies, because it was such a nice moment. It was just nice. And he did look healthy and good.
Yeah.
And he just seemed like a straight guy after that, because he did, like, he looked rough even at work when at Glengarry.
Aww.
But the other thing, that place was hell. Just getting back now to Glengarry, it was just hell. So even one day I walked into it was winter, because I started in January right after Christmas, and I walked in with wet shoes, not even muddy shoes, didn't just from the parking lot,
wet
into
shoes,
my
as
office,
you do, because there's snow. Yeah.
Into my office, and I don't know, minutes later, Lynn, the boss, comes into my office, slams the door behind him, and just reams me out
for the wet shoes.
For wet shoes.
What a psycho!
Yeah, that was that guy.
Oh my god!
When I quit, because I stayed there I had the record. I was I think the 5th engineering manager in 2 years or something like that.
Well, no wonder.
Only lasted months. I lasted, I can't remember if it was 6 or 8 months, but in that range. And I had the record.
You had the record for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Holy
Anyways,
moly.
when I quit, I went into his office and he was, Kris, no, that's so bad. You're going to quit. I just.
Did you hand him a list of all the terrible times he yelled at you?
I didn't. But he tried to convince me to stay, and I obviously wasn't going to stay. And then when he realized that I wasn't going to stay, he totally reamed me out and said, I will make sure you never get a job in Guelph ever again. That was basically how we left it.
Oh my gosh. That's basically on the line of illegal. Like you can't make someone that you can't threaten someone for quitting.
But it was,
that's fucked up.
Well, it is.
It is. It's fucked.
So they happen to be an element supplier. You don't know a lot of this.
No, I don't know any of this stuff because we haven't talked in detail about your career. I mean, a little, but
they just happen to be also because they're an element supplier.
Is there a dirty secret?
No.
Oh, I was excited.
No. No, but when I went to work for Dimplex, Dimplex buys elements.
Oh,
we bought from Glengarry.
Ew.
So now I'm the customer.
Oh, so now he has to be nice to you. Yeah. Did you ever talk to him again?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you got to be like, you have to be nice to me.
But that Len could be as sweet as pie when he
Ew, but that's even weirder. I don't like that though. Like that's even the worst in my opinion when someone can turn it on and off like that. I think I would rather them be obviously a dick than be sweet and dick though.
And
but
it was weird. But I really,
but
really
then you got in the power
position. They went out of business fairly soon after.
Well, probably because freaking Len scared everyone away.
He had such a nice secretary. I gotta tell you, she was just I think she kept it together.
Wow.
I can't remember her name.
So she was like you know how like when women used to write books and stuff, they would be they'd use a pseudonym or whatever, like a men's name. Basically, that secretary was like the ghost writer of the company.
I think she was the one who actually.
Yeah.
That's why they survived as well as they did because she.
Yeah, and then Dimplex, you were there. What was your first title at Dimplex?
At Dimplex?
Yeah.
Was I think it was just engineering manager.
But then, over time, they just kept promoting you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. True.
And to be honest, I remember saying even to Martin, I said, I don't care about it was like as though title was a big deal. I said,
the title.
If it changes my responsibilities or whatever, fine. But the title, who cares?
Yeah.
But I guess.
Well, I mean, in pay, and like as a sign of, like not just resume, but kind of like as an outward facing thing, like for your business card to say senior vice president of engineering, like that.
Even within the company, with other, if you're trying to deal with other managers, and
having a title helps you.
VP or senior VP, which I ended up being senior VP.
Yeah.
It just kind of gives you at least equal weight, or it doesn't. If you need to use that card, you can use it.
Yeah, which you hope you won't have to, but some people only respond to that though.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like at Dimplex. Martin Champ, the president there, he was just it was logical. What's good for the company, what's good for people in the company overall, what's good for the community. Those things are important. If that's your guiding light, good things happen.
Yeah.
But when it becomes what's good for me,
what's good for me, what's good for the bottom line, and like a very I don't know.
Without considering other bigger picture stuff. But especially only what's good for me, it just becomes a dog eat dog kind of a company. And you just you'll throw your own people in your team under the bus just because it's good for me, or you think it is at least. Overall, in the long term, obviously that isn't good for you because people eventually do recognize it, and the place just turns into a jungle. So I mean, that's what happened at Dimplex. And it was due to the president. I'll tell you a little bit of a story just because it brings back my own memories. It's just how I even got to Dimplex. I don't know if you know this, but we were
maybe.
But at Noma got bought by a company that makes guns. Actually, I think the Smith and Wesson. I think it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Anyways, they had plants in
really high power snowblowers.
They had factories in Tennessee. They had.
Oh yes, I know the Tennessee story.
Yeah. So I would go down to Tennessee, and when they were bought, they decided that they'd probably want me to, I guess, manage an engineering department down there or whatever. So they made me an offer. Anyways, I virtually accepted and went even down and Emma and I
you were looking at like schools and stuff for us. Well, I wasn't alive yet,
we even
but
chose a house. Like there was a house even that we were thinking of. That's if we go down, okay. So we came back from a trip down there and said, okay, we looked at houses. I remember it was really nice area. I got to tell you, really nice area. And they were offering me a lot of money too. And taxes were less, and I was like, this is pretty good. How can I turn this down?
My kids with twangy voices. Imagine.
That was one of the big concerns.
Was exactly the racism there too, right?
Yeah. I remember somebody saying to us, you're going to have to put your kids in private school. So, well, why? Well, because blacks go to the public schools.
And you're like, the heck?
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, okay.
And there was one lunch I remember was too. I went a lunch and there was.
Wait, and this is like 90s, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And people
90s.
were saying, wow, that's
90s.
messed up. Early 90s, they were still 90s. Saying separate the kids in separate schools. Wow.
Yeah. Just
that's horrifying. That's so recent.
That's what you want to do.
Wow.
There were two women engineers that were out for lunch with me and some other guy from Canada. I can't remember. But anyways, I was getting Ken Stittle, I think it was.
It's a fun name.
Just fun.
Mr. Stittle.
I could order lunch for Ken. Ken would always, like, he was just such a Canadian sort of and he was just so
predictable.
Always predictable. Thank you. Always. I knew I even would do it at lunch. I'd say he's going to take. It was what's with the sandwich that has bacon and
BLT.
No.
Or Reuben.
No, the
club sandwich.
Club sandwich.
Let me name all the sandwiches.
Good thing I'm not Ken Stittle. I get starved.
Oh no, I don't know what I want.
I can't have anything else.
One sandwich I want, I don't know.
But it was a club sandwich. No matter what, it would be for dinner, lunch, breakfast. I swear, club sandwich. That's all. Wow. When we were out eating, and I did travel enough with them, Ken Stittle and a club sandwich. Stupid story, but but anyways, we were at lunch with these, and there were two women engineers, and we talked about guns, and we said, "So, do you guys carry guns?" "Oh yeah, we can." And they pulled out their purses. Each of them had a little pistol in their purse.
So crazy.
One was a cool little one with a pearl handle on it, but holy cow, we talked about like really, like he had a gun in your, like, for us it was so weird.
Well, like, that's literally a different world. Like, I know that we are very similar to the States, but in that sense, like, separated schools and they have guns. What? And that's in the 90s. We're not talking like 50s, 90s. That's crazy.
Yeah. And anyways, we decided.
So tempting, but big reasons not to. Yeah.
And so that's just talking about Dimplex. That's how I woke up the next morning. We came back from Mag Monday morning. I woke up to a phone. That's what. And Emma said,
I don't think
because
so.
I still wanted it because it was just so nice
Great
in other
opportunity,
ways.
yeah.
It was just so nice in the area, and even the house we were thinking of getting. It was just all really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I
God,
would
you're
have
making me want to grow up there.
financially we would have been way better off.
Oh, wow.
But so Emma said, okay, just promise me you'll look for
something here.
For 1 week.
Yeah.
Just because I had to also accept the offer properly or not.
Soon, yeah.
Woke up on that Monday to a phone call from my headhunter from when I have been looking for a job prior to Noma. When I was from Glengarry, as a guy, a headhunter in Kitchener, phoned me just saying, by any chance, would you be looking for a job?
And you're like, hello, God,
weird.
it's me.
Well, yes. It was kind of, I guess it was just weird.
That's very weird.
And I said, well, sure, I'd be willing. And that was Monday. I had the interview on Wednesday, and I accepted the offer Thursday.
Holy crap. And in that instant, you decided the future of all of your children and yourself.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
That's
because that was like literally, have you seen the movie Sliding Doors? Where like she has the two, it's with Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's like the two alternate realities, and the point is that she misses the subway train in one, and in the other she doesn't miss the subway train, so it's Sliding Doors. And it basically is like, then the whole movie they show her two realities, like if she missed it and if she didn't, and they're completely different. And so this is your Sliding Doors moment. If we had moved to Tennessee, very different.
It would have been very different, I'm sure. Yeah, so that's how I started at Dimplex. Yeah. I remember having an interview with Martin. We hit it off right away. Yeah. Anyway, started off as engineering manager. Worked in Brantford, though, for the first almost a year, I think. It was about a 20, I think my memory is $27, $28 million business. Yeah. When I first started. It was all electric heating. But within the first 6 months or so, came up with fireplace idea, and then and that took off within 2 years or so, and went from that $28 million business to at one point $120 million business. Oh wow. But the heating part of it was still $28 million business. It was all fireplaces.
Wow. Well, I guess electric fireplaces probably weren't really much of a thing before, right?
No, well, that was the thing, was that it was just, it wasn't at all a category at all. Like, it was where the idea started from was that Ireland did have this kind of an electric coal sort of a thing, just like a little thing they put in the fireplace, and they came up with the idea of making a little stove, like a tiny little black stove, and we tried selling it. Remember, we got, I think, 5,000 of them in. Yeah. And we... it seemed like a kind of a neat little gimmicky kind of idea, but it looked like crap. It's just like, and I remember Martin just saying, it's kind of a neat idea, but do you think you could do something better? Yeah. And somehow just fairly quickly came up with something that looked
a full mantelpiece with actual flames.
Well, it was the flames, just the realism of the flames. It looked so crummy. It was just kind of just sort of a flickering light.
It's almost like a fake candle, which, like, okay, fun, but it kind of lame.
Like, you got a whole box just to make that. Yeah. So anyways, came up with the way that we did the flames fairly quickly. First, I remember the first couple shows we showed it at, and it was we just had I remember actually one show was even the St. Jacob's Home Hardware. Went to their show and didn't even have a booth or anything. Took the firebox and just put it on a chair, and it caught lots of attention. Just without
a mantle or anything, properly. Just in a box.
And it just got a lot of attention, and they were one of the first people that bought it too. But it just seemed to it was one of these things where it's, I think we got something here.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then Martin was bright and really
was like, go with that, run with it.
Yeah, Martin was just a really bright, good guy, and a strong leader, and anyways, a very amicable sort of a leader too. It was, I can remember he'd come into my office and he'd put his feet on my desk, and we'd just talk and come up with ideas. Yeah. Which is just, like, it just stimulates you when you have something like that. When you
bouncing ideas off each other is so exciting. You literally, like, or at least I do, like, I get like giddy Like when you get new ideas and you both are just like, oh my gosh, new things. And like, you're both just like, wow, that's good. Write that down. It's like such a good feeling. I love that feeling. Yeah. That's like my favorite.
No, it's
when you like forget to eat because you're so excited. You know what I mean? That feeling.
You gotta realize that for people that are subordinates to you,
that's what keeps them around.
And it does, even if they don't come up with the greatest ideas, don't knock them down on those ideas, because then it shuts them down.
Well, because their first idea is never going to be the best one, probably. Yeah. So if you feel shut down the first idea, well, now they're not going to speak up anymore, and they won't ever get to that giddy excited because they didn't get to. Yeah. It's like when your engine won't turn over.
It's a funny situation though, because you also don't want, as a recognizer of good ideas in management, you gotta also.
That's what your business card says.
Yeah. and just like trying to manage what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. Yeah. The thing is that all ideas aren't so good.
Yeah, well, you don't want to be a sugarcoater either.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a little bit of a
balance.
So it's how you manage that is really important, because
it's a lot of people skills mostly.
Yeah. It's because if you do sugarcoat, it sometimes makes people go off in a direction you shouldn't be going off in. And also, then you start to get recognized as, well, okay, what is good and bad? I don't even know anymore.
We have to give constructive answers.
And as long as you can give logical reasons, I a lot of times I'll go to, if somebody throws out an idea, one of my engineers might be, sold on something they designed. And then you just got to kind of take them down the logic path. Saying, well, why, or what's a lot of times it's, what's the actual purpose of this?
Yeah.
What's the root purpose of it? And does it serve that purpose, or is there some other means to serve that purpose in a better way? Like maybe this other way, or maybe,
explain to me why this one's better.
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
because if they can explain, well,
then it's right, because maybe you don't understand even what the why it's better. So then it kind of takes you both down that logic path. Anyway.
Well, I guess now that we're to present day, so where do you work now? Just so we can finish the career path arc. Where do you work now? Well, actually, you were unemployed for a couple of years.
Well,
you were retired.
Dimplex. It was a wonderful place to work under for when I was under Martin Champ. Just a very good place, and just thrived there. And I think I helped the company thrive too.
Yeah, you were there for like 21 years or something.
But and then Martin got prostate cancer, basically.
Oh, right.
And
that's sad.
Yeah. And
he's alive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I should actually talk to him sometime. Anyways, the guy who replaced him was cleaned house. He went to clean house, but I don't think he was allowed to clean house fully. Like, for instance, I don't think Ireland would allow him to even fire me. Well, he even told me that he wanted to fire me too.
It's such a weird thing to say. I would like to fire you, but I'm not allowed to.
Basically, that's what he did.
Okay.
Say to me. And so he tried to get me to quit for years. Toughest years of my life.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So he'd come into my office and say stuff like, so are you writing your resume?
Oh, that's so messed up. That's like literally.
How do you answer that question?
Should I be?
Well, I had at one point like over 30 people report to me. I think it was that much, but usually at least 20. But I had quality under me for the longest time too. And by the time I was my last year, I had 0 people reported to me.
He just was like, you were just like some weird human just sitting there. And you're like, what am I supposed to be doing here?
And that's so not me. I can't do it.
And then you were retired and you lived a little bit of a old man life for a few years.
It was awful. That's not me.
Yeah, well, it was maybe a nice reset button a little bit, but
yeah, along with the other personal difficulties.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're I was gonna ask if you were willing to talk about it, because I feel like a lot of the time, for some reason, I feel like divorce is weirdly ignored. It's as if it's you know what I mean? I think a lot of people.
Mental illness.
Yeah, but divorce is a different thing where a lot of people feel like it's like, oh, we got divorced, but like, yeah, it's okay now because I find someone new. Well, it's like, why is that? It's like you have to explain yourself, which I don't understand, because, or like as if divorce is like some failure or something. Like, I don't think a lot of the time divorce is the healthier option for a lot of people. That's why people get divorced, and people don't talk about it for some reason, because it's like a dirty subject, like not dirty, but you know what I mean, like a tainted subject for some reason.
I know.
So like, I don't know if you want to like just kind of explain a little bit about how like you got through it or anything.
No, it was pretty tough. But I mean, work was tough at the time, just like I explained.
Yeah.
And that probably didn't help the marriage situation, I guess.
Well,
But
it
it
was a
was even tough.
compounded
It was
issue for sure.
tough
But
before even that, though.
yeah.
It just because I don't, things were just kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I think for whatever reasons.
Yeah, there's just so many pieces of it that I think for a long time, even with the mental illness aspect of it and not, it was just, I think you were both unhappy for a long time.
Even beyond that, because I think actually it was part of the stress brought on, and then with work too on top of it, and then yada yada. Where was I going with all that? It was just
well, it's a really weird and hard transition period too, like just in general. Like, well, all of us, I was the last one to move out. Dolly just moved out at the exact same time too.
Yeah.
So you guys were home alone
Yeah,
for the
that too.
first time, which was sort of like, not first time, but first time in a long time, in 30 years or whatever. So I think there was that. And like, I think that's a common thing for a lot of couples, like when their kids move out. I think that's like a weird pressure cooker situation where you either survive it or not. Yeah, like I think empty nest syndrome is either like you either adjust and you're like, oh, it's so nice to be alone together, or like maybe it's a weird adjustment period where like it feels weird for a bit, but then you get settled into being like a couple again. Or I think a lot of couples break up at that point because they're like, oh, maybe we've stayed together not for the wrong reasons, but for different reasons, and now things are different now, and we can see, though the veil's been lifted because no one's here.
But I think I just wanted to keep it together.
Yeah.
And I think by the time empty nest things started to happen, I was I think I was probably playing almost a fool's game of trying to keep it together. But it's the hardest thing ever.
Yeah. Well, people say it's one of the most stressful life events, right? Well, because it's all encompassing. Like, it's family, it's love, it's emotions, it's body stress from it all. Like, it's just everything.
I could feel those, the 5 stages of mourning or whatever they call it.
Exactly.
I think I went through that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, it's I think that's as hard as anyways.
Well, and I guess it's almost unfortunate too that at that time you didn't have work because you didn't have anything to like focus on, so you were kind of just weirdly at home with the situation, which is really sucky.
Yep.
Yeah, if someone was listening and wanted to know
how to get through that sort of thing,
yeah, it doesn't have to be advice per se, but
just how did I get through it?
Yeah,
and probably all kinds of different ways to get through it. Excessive drinking.
No, you didn't even drink that much. I don't think.
There was times though when it was like, oh man, I can tell you, I think actually there was a period of time where like, okay, I did smoke a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I think I did.
Yeah.
Like I would just kind of
you were
just lose myself
stoner.
a little bit into a bit of smoking a bit, in the evenings, just to try and just sort of dull things. That ain't the way to get, obviously, to get.
Well, it's a band-aid. Like, it doesn't change. It doesn't. I don't know. And it also messes up your like brain paths. Like, if that's the way that you can feel better, then that's your automatic like reaction. It's not going to help you for very long.
So I turned to, I think this is at least the way I got over a lot of it, is I started to do some stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'd do something, such as build
Renovation
renovation
projects,
projects,
yeah.
exactly, like in the basement, maybe fixing up that room. I'd started to run, started to ski harder, like ski again and ski a bit harder and train for skiing a little bit,
Well, and you kind of
or ride
reconnected
my
with your
bike,
siblings and stuff too a bit, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that sort of stuff. Try and do something at the cottage, maybe. So I made plans, even though I never did them. But I wanted to build that boathouse into a bunkie and maybe build a sauna. And
I think we spent a lot of stuff together as a family, like, well, minus one member of the family, but like as with us, like your daughters, like I think you spent a lot more time with us too. Like you kind of, I saw more of you during those years than like ever. I mean, not now during the pandemic, but like before,
but I
like
wasn't working either.
So. Yeah, so you kind of had the opportunity to like literally spend so much time with your brothers and sister and us and stuff, which I think probably helped a lot. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, family is definitely important. You guys, especially, to help you through those hard times, and also my siblings.
Yeah.
Especially, I gotta say, especially my sister Lisa.
Yeah.
She's great.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I guess what other things from that, because I feel like everyone's situation's so different too. Because like it wasn't just you guys broke up; like there was a lot more involved. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's hard to like relate to other people's lives, I guess. But meaning like mental health wise, like there was a lot more involved than just like you guys didn't just decide to break up. Like it's not like you were like divorce. It was like there was a lot more involved. So it's kind of hard to describe it.
Well, and the thing was, I still tried to even though Emma wanted to separate and part ways, I fought it and didn't for the first year.
Yeah.
And so that was maybe harder on me, I think.
Yeah.
Because and maybe in retrospect, I should have just kind of walked away sooner.
Yeah, but in the moment, you don't know what the right thing to do is either, because.
And also, and I guess I can feel good in the sense too that I don't feel guilty.
Yeah, well, you tried, and like, because anyone who, well, because if you had just been like, oh yeah, for sure, after 32 years of marriage or whatever, well, I mean, that's kind of sad. Like you would hope in any long relationship that people would at least give it a fair try.
Yeah, so I did,
Yeah.
In that way, but it was hard.
Yeah, well, you put yourself through
but more, maybe in the long run, it was the better way to get through it too, because I don't have any
kind of more closure. I mean, I hate the word closure because closure doesn't really exist. Closure does not exist.
It does not. I can tell you, I still every day, every day I think of your mother.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and I was listening to a podcast recently where they were saying closure does not exist, and I was like, yeah, that's actually so true, because like closure we have in our heads of like some perfect speech we can give where this person's going to understand. This person's going to understand exactly how I feel, and they're going to say, oh yes, okay, now we can part ways perfectly, and we're going to understand everything, and everyone's going to be on the same page. Closure. Mwah. No, it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. There's no perfect speech. There's no perfect situation. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't. Closure. Meh. Nope, it doesn't exist.
Now there are some philosophers, at least. Maybe I'm going too deep into things, but they're well, I won't get into it. I'm just thinking a little bit about Plato, to be honest. I mean, just he would say, there is full knowledge, like not full knowledge, but it's stages of knowledge, and that in the end, like if you actually do see
the light,
literally almost that then you would be able to say there might be some full closure.
But that doesn't exist, though. You can't get to the light.
Well, it takes
unless you're dead.
We mostly, as human beings, like do not understand things fully and do not. But
emotions and things get in the way.
And there's just knowledge is lacking.
Well, and
we can't
things
know everything.
like things get lost in translation so much. I think like people's thought processes, and no one can express themselves that fully to the point where the other person can understand their thought process fully. Because I'm never going to be in your head, and you're never going to be in mine. So no matter how much we talk and think we understand each other perfectly, we don't.
No, and you may think you do.
Yeah,
but you
don't.
Yeah. No, there's too many variables to.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can move on from that. But so you did kind of briefly touch on like fixing things and building and renovation and stuff. I feel like that's a huge hobby of yours. Like you've always done that in our house. Like with the cottage, like didn't you guys all build that together?
Oh, I thought you were talking about fixing the dog or the cat.
Ew, you didn't do that.
Well, we did.
Your dad did. You did?
It was, well, pigs is the one I think of.
Ew.
It's, like the
You just cut off their testicles?
Yeah.
Literally just cut them off and cauterize them?
The way they do it, like pigs get castrated.
Yeah.
Is like as a kid, I'd have to go into the pen. I'd catch the little pig, like they were
little tiny pig.
Yeah, they were pretty small. The reason you do it is because so they get fat and become more.
Wait, but I thought if they had balls, wouldn't they grow bigger?
No, you want them to be not so muscular.
Oh, you want them fatter, not as like sinewy muscles.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So anyways, and you catch the little piglet, like I don't know how old they'd be. They wouldn't be tiny
couple months
pigs,
old or something.
But they'd be pigs that were, maybe
like a dog
size. Yeah. And I bring them to my dad, and he'd take baler twine and put a loop of baler twine, and he'd be holding up the feet. He'd put baler twine on each one, and there'd be a nail in the post of the farm, the beam of a post holding it in the and he'd hang them up there, and then he'd squeeze,
and the pig's screaming bloody murder.
Bloody murder, just like totally. Oh. And you'd kind of squeeze the testicle out. He'd take the
snippers or something.
And just kind of put a slot, and he'd pop the testicles out the hole. And because you can't cut it because they bleed too much.
Yeah,
so you
actually
have to rip them out, believe it or not.
Oh my God! Wait, why would ripping be better than cutting?
Because it doesn't bleed as much.
Really?
If you can imagine the end of the blood vessels and things being
jagged, it kind of like seals a little better.
Ew. But yeah.
Yum.
So anyway, fixing things. Sorry, we got totally off.
So yeah, like just fixing all sorts of stuff and just like.
Yeah, like that's how I, if I'm as a pastime and just, like during those times when we were just talking about hard years and that. No, that's how I'd kind of lose myself is something. And I always did that as a younger person too. Like I'd just get into stuff, just lose myself into things such as building a car or doing fixing something up.
I mean, you never really learned how officially. So did you just kind of figure it out, or did your dad teach you a lot? I don't mean cars. I mean like building stuff.
Building stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we did, like, for instance, Magneto on that.
You guys built
the little cottage.
Yeah.
We built that.
We
tore down. I remember in Wellesley, we tore down a little milk shed on the side of a barn and part of a barn, and we took the wood from that, so it was free for us to.
So unfortunately, since this was my first live recording with another person in the same room, I had a lot of technical difficulties and the video stopped recording halfway through our conversation. We'd already recorded for way longer than we were supposed to. So we're going to cut it off there. Maybe I'll have him on again some other time to talk about his brewery that he has in our basement. Not an illegal one. He just does it for fun. Brews beers in our basement, and he has a lot of other cool hobbies that we didn't really get to talk about, but it's hard to fit a long lifetime into our podcast. So maybe we'll have him on another time. But I hope you enjoyed getting to know my dad, Kris Hess, and make sure to check out Hey Hi Who Are You on Apple Podcasts, because now it is live there as well. Apparently it takes a little while for it to for Apple Podcasts to accept new podcasts into their library, but I am now officially there. So make sure to check me out there and to rate, review, subscribe, because that really helps me appear on people's explore pages and just lets me know if you're liking what you're listening to. So, anyway, so have a great day and thank you for listening again. Bye.
Make sure to follow on Instagram and TikTok at heyhiwhoareyou.pod to stay up to date on new guests and new episodes.